Levett to line for three. Oh! Comes out of the Rafters. The Jam at home. I've never seen anything like that in my life. I saw it coming.
I let out a scream and a roar as I ran past him, just to let him know. You know what I'm saying? He got the last word. Because actually after that, he took me out of the game. And he said, you know, if you do that shit next week against Xavier, you know they're going to be running it right back down your throat.
What's up, everybody? Got Aaron here, got Ed here on the other side of me. On the other end of the line, we have Mr. Melvin Levett. So we're going to do things a little bit differently for you on this episode of Pardon the Punctuation. We thought we would give you kind of a closer look at somebody who is a Cincinnati legend and kind of let him tell his story that I don't know that many of us have actually heard.
Celebrating 20 years, too.
It is a big celebration.
Yeah, pretty awesome, man. Time flies, as they say, especially when you have fun. And that was definitely a time in my life where, you know, I had a chance to grow significantly. But at the same time, man, it was a lot of fun, man. And these last several years after basketball, so to speak, has kind of even been even more of a joyride for me. So, but yeah, time has flew, man, and we're sitting at the big 2-0.
Doesn't even seem like 20 years. It doesn't even seem like it at all.
No, man, looking at a lot of the pictures and things like that, man, body hasn't changed too much, you know, since my last year, you know, playing here at UC. So again, when I look at that stuff, man, it's like, you know, again, it's hard to believe that that much time has actually went by.
I think the only thing that's changed is the jersey I got back when you played. It doesn't fit me anymore, so but that's evolution.
Meaning that you got, you know, you're a little bit bigger or what?
Yeah, I've been hitting the gym. I've been hitting the gym.
Yeah,
so
that's it.
The arms don't fit.
We wanted to make sure the viewers understood exactly.
Yeah,
you know
yeah. The arms don't fit in the cutoff sleeves anymore. So that's.
So now, currently, you are a varsity assistant for basketball at at Winton Woods High School, and you're also a coach of JV, and you're also teaching fourth grade, I believe, right? ELL teaching.
Yeah, at the elementary building, teaching ESL, ELL for others that are more familiar. But English as a second language to all of the newer coming students, you know, into the country, and you know the kids are from a wide range, you know, of around the map, you know, Nepali, Nigeria, Mexico, got a couple kids from Pakistan, we have kids from India. So I get a chance to sit in front of the world every day.
How fulfilling is that job for you?
You know, I'm not the principal, I'm not the superintendent or anything like that, but I'm going to tell you what, those kids make me feel like my job is the most important thing, because being with us during the time that they were able to as a support staff for English language, you know, we're giving them, you know, just the basics, you know, that they need just to kind of survive the day at school, you know what I mean? But then at the same time, you know, building the vocabulary and things like that to, you know, kind of help outside of the building as well. A lot of the kids are interpreters, you know, for their parents. So, you know, you can imagine being, you know, in the third and fourth grade and having to kind of translate, you know, maybe some things outside of school for mom and dad. So, but yeah, to say the least, man, I feel like my job is, you know, it's very fulfilling because, again, the kids can't wait to get to me, you know, and I know the service that I'm giving them, again, is of value, and, again, it's helping them through just have a little sense of normalcy in their life.
That's really cool. I was actually just, I mean, it's I guess it's almost a little bit like it, but I had dyslexia growing up, and I actually just the other day was able to locate my my teacher who helped me work through the dyslexia. So that's a pretty cool. Okay. Like you're helping these these kids transition into speaking the English language, and that's really cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. I mean, you can imagine. Obviously, I mean, I've been to several foreign countries and didn't know the language as an adult. You know, so you can imagine again. You know, being a youngster and not being, as fluent in, in the English language, how tough it would be. So it's important, again, man, to, for me to do what I do and do it to the best of my ability.
Well, that's incredible. Speaking of children, you grew up in Cleveland, and growing up in that city, what kind of hardships did you face as a child?
Well, all of them. I wouldn't say, everybody's got a story, you know what I'm saying? And everybody comes from, rough parts of towns where they grew up in, whatever city it was or whatever state. And I wouldn't say mine was as rough as anybody else's, but, I would say it was kind of commonplace to see the drugs, the gang violence, all those things that, go on, in an urban neighborhood, that's kind of impoverished, so to speak. Again, had to deal with it all, man. The peer pressures of doing what everybody else was doing, and I had to kind of find something else as an outlet, to kind of occupy my time and stay away from the neighborhood, because again, the neighborhood was getting bad. And sports was it, man. I played everything from soccer. I golfed, I played baseball, football, basketball, anything that I could stay immersed in, again, just to kind of keep the time moving, you know what I mean, and not having to worry about, what's going on back there in the neighborhood until I actually got back there, and I usually try to arrive back late. You talk about, okay, well, being able to arrive home late. Well, at that time, street lights were really prevalent. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So we had, it was this thing about you had to beat the street lights home. And
right.
To a kid, 7 o'clock is late.
Oh, that's
you know what I'm saying? Something like that, But I would always be checking back from the rec center, around that time. So again, I wasn't, around the neighborhood to possibly, fall victim to something tragic or, end up in a neighborhood fight, with some of my other friends and things like that.
So then was your first love basketball?
No. First love was football. I told my father I was going to be either a Dallas Cowboy or a San Francisco 49er, but it was actually a San Francisco 49er or a Dallas Cowboy. I must get that straight.
Didn't want to be a Brown?
That came along later in the years, you know what I mean, as I started to play the game a little bit more. I envisioned myself, in Browns jersey or something like that, but, mainly it was, I was following, my dad's heart. My dad loved Joe Montana and loved Dwight Clark and, everything about, the San Francisco 49ers and what they stood for. So that was number one. You know what I mean? Football was really good to me. It taught me some things about myself, and I found out I was very athletically skilled through that sport. Kind of ran its course, with several injuries. Nothing major, but you take so many bumps and bruises with that sport, man, and you kind of feel like, okay, well, I got an option to maybe go play another sport, maybe let's go try this out a little bit. And although, I had a lot of success, and my first college letter was from Lou Holtz, at Notre Dame. I was recruited by everybody in the country for football.
Wow.
I just thought, basketball was starting to become more popular of a sport. I was a little good at it, when I first started.
Just a little bit.
And had a skill that, some grown men didn't have at that time, and that was the ability to kind of jump really, really high. So
was there anybody at that point in time, as you started transitioning more into basketball than football, was there anybody that you modeled your game after as you were growing up?
Well, I love Dominique Wilkins, man. I was always somebody that I looked at.
Makes sense.
Kind of tried to pad my game so much. Not my game, really, just like the attitude. Because Dominique played with a fierce attitude, and when he dunked the ball, you knew that he had just dunked the ball because again, his attitude, and how he attacked the game. The look came along with it. Obviously the high top fade was a pretty popular haircut at that time, so I just went with what was popular. And then, things started to kind of take shape with my body a little bit, and then a couple people started calling me, Baby Neek. And from there, I just kind of tried to, again, I didn't walk pigeon-toed or anything like that. I just, tried to play as hard as he played and attack the basket, man, with vigor like he did.
Now, you mentioned that Lou Holtz sent you a letter, so what was the recruiting process like for you? Obviously, you were hearing from both, I would assume, football and basketball at this point in time. So what was that whole recruiting process like, all while at the same time you're trying to finish high school?
Fun. You know what I mean? Absolutely fun. You got to think about. I mean, it was pre-social media time, so had it been social media at that time, man, the whole recruiting scene for guys that was coming out of my generations would have really, really been nuts, man. Because again, we were getting recruited by everybody. But then you talk about playing two sports, and you got both entities kind of clamoring after you, for your talent. So, man, I was on cloud 10 if there is one. You know what I mean? I'm getting phone calls every day. I'm getting mail every day, from these universities. And, Lou Holtz's letter was handwritten, so that's how you can kind of tell the difference as you went along.
Yeah.
Who was doing what and who was really serious about you. You know what I mean? Because some of the notes would come handwritten, and some of them would just be, formal letters from the university, and they'll send you the whole package with the program of the school and the athletics and all that stuff. But very, very few coaches that I had got recruited by sent personal letters. When it came to the basketball end, Bob was obviously one of those guys that did that.
That kind of gets me to my next point. What made you ultimately pick UC then?
I really didn't know too much about Cincinnati. I mean, I knew about Cincinnati because I was obviously an athlete,
right?
And I love to watch sports. I knew about the Bengals and through the Browns. I knew about the Reds, through the Indians and things like that. So I kind of knew about the city. And then there was that TV show, that WKRP in Cincinnati. I used to watch that a lot. You know what I'm saying? I thought that was kind of a funny show. But
what a recruiting tool that is.
Turkeys falling out of a helicopter.
I didn't really hear, about Cincinnati basketball until, they obviously made their run, in the NCAA tournament. And it was the year that they obviously played Michigan.
Oh, yeah, 92. Was that 92?
I got a chance to, check them out, obviously playing against the Fab Five, but then, seeing Huggins on the scene, after that, for AAU.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Cincinnati at that point kind of became, something that was constantly in my face. You know what I mean? That, a lot of the AAU trips I went on, Huggs was there or Larry Harrison was there, usually both sometimes, or, John Lawyer was out, at certain places and things like that, but that's how, kind of became attentive to Cincinnati. And first visit, I got was the Midnight Madness with D'Antonio Wingfield.
I miss Midnight Madness.
I totally miss Midnight Madness.
I was sold then, man. I knew where I wanted to go, at that point. The energy, the hoopla, that was going on. And, obviously the program was being turned into a national powerhouse.
Yeah.
Somewhere I can go that was close to home, you know what I mean? Family would still be able to travel and see me play and all that good stuff, It became, over time after they showed me, week after week, 2 and 3 phone calls sometimes or, 3 letters in the mail during that week. They let me know, that they were, they wanted me. So I kind of closed everybody else off. I got recruited by everybody except for 4 Ivy League schools.
Mm.
I got recruited by one. Harvard sent me a letter.
Oh, yeah?
There you go.
Yes. So I can say I got one Ivy League school that wanted my attention.
There you go.
But I got recruited by everybody in the country, man, except for Duke, Carolina, and Kentucky. You know what I'm saying? A couple of Ivy League schools. So, I narrowed it down, man, after that.
And that was the time that Huggins beat Lou Holtz.
He beat out the Hurricanes from Miami, man. He beat out Florida State. He beat out the Cornhuskers, Tom Osborne up there at Nebraska. Beat out, I forget who the coach at Michigan was at that time. I think it was Bo. John Cooper. He beat out John Cooper. I think it would have been Lloyd Carr, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, he beat out a lot of those guys at that point, man. Basketball kind of took over. It was warmer on the inside. You know what I'm saying?
That's a great point, too.
I didn't have to take, too many more hits at all. I didn't have to get triple teamed anymore. Basketball was fun.
So when you look back, do you consider it, I mean, I know what I consider it as, but do you consider it the Huggins era or do you consider it the Jordan era?
It definitely, man. That whole time, man, that was all about Bob, man.
Yeah.
Jordan came along because of Bob.
Agreed.
That's agreed. Exactly.
Let's get that, let's get that straight. A lot of things came along with Bob, and a lot of things left when Bob left.
Exactly.
Let's keep that all the way, truthful and factful.
Exactly.
But Jordan was an add-on, man. I think Jordan, Huggins would go out and work Jordan's camps during the summer out in Vegas, so they had a pretty good relationship. But I think our style of basketball, the athletes that we had, on our team, at that time and coming up through that generation, I think we're real representative. We're representatives for his brand, and there was only 4 schools,
exactly,
exclusively in the country wore that line, and we were blessed to be one of them. And I think we did a good job of representing Jordan, man.
Oh, no doubt.
Had a chance to play with. We have fun in that gear.
Now I still want a pair of those Jordan 13s that you guys wore.
I just want the shorts.
I don't have the shorts.
Now let's talk about some of those personalities that Huggins was able to bring along while you were there, both before and after you. And you can stop me at any point in time if you want to tell any stories about these guys, but just taking a walk down memory lane, some of the names that stood out to me as I was looking back on it, and I can't believe that you were there around literally all of these players.
I was spoiled rotten.
You are kidding. Good Lord.
You know what I mean? When you talk about, wearing Jordan, you talk about being on ESPN, you got your own Fox station in Cincinnati.
You got that Bearcat bounce.
You're on the CBS. You're on ABC at the time. You know what I mean? We were on everything, man.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't have to worry about going to the NCAA tournament each year.
No,
because I won 25 plus games and conference championships. So think about the kids now, man, that don't really get a chance to go to the NCAA tournament through their 4 years, or really hang on to that conference tournament, to try to win it, to have their only chance to get in it.
Exactly.
Again, I look back on my time, man. Like I said, I was truly spoiled.
Back then, it was almost like it wasn't, is UC going to go to the tournament? It's, are they going to be a 1 or a 2 seed? That's it. That's all we were worried about back then,
Exactly.
So some of the names that you got to play with, as you're talking about being spoiled, Art Long.
Art, let's keep it PG for my man Art. I love Art. We all know he was a loose cannon at times, so we'll just say Art. Interesting.
So you had Keith Legree and Keith Greger.
Keith Legree, leader.
You had Keith Greger.
Say it again.
Keith Greger.
Comedian.
You had Jackson Julson.
Oh, wow. Jackson Julson. The preacher.
Okay.
Jackson always wanted to keep the peace.
Okay. You had Danny Fortson.
Beast. Just a fucking bear. Excuse me. But he was just a bear, man. You couldn't do nothing with Danny Fortson.
You had Darnell Burton, the gunslinger.
The dog, man. You know what I mean? The shooter. Dude come into practice, not even warmed up, and will light you up. Period and point blank.
One of those guys.
You had Damon Flint.
Cool. Nah, you know what? Sorry. Nah, that's Bobby Brandon. Bobby Brandon is cool.
I thought Bobby Brandon was going to be barbed wire.
Yeah, Flint was exotic. He would come in the locker room, man, in some of the craziest looking outfits, man. Like the Cincinnati,
like Cam Newton.
The fashion at that time, going through the 90s when we were at UC, man. You had a lot of different things going on. You had a lot of colors going on. You had a lot of different schemes. You had leather on suede. You know what I'm saying? You had outfits built like that. And Flint would come in with some leather and suede on, man, with leather on his thighs, on his pants, and then, this suede sweater with leather on the front of it.
So he was a Jordan shoe, a walking Jordan shoe.
A gold chain. But he was always styling, man. Flint was always styling. So, but, Flint was cool. He was from Cincinnati, man, and he brought the fashion to the locker room.
And then next name I had was Bobby Brandon.
Cool. Flat out cool, man. Always pulling his hair back. Every chance he got.
Every free throw.
Push-ups. Every chance he got, he did push-ups to bulge the arms out, and he stayed tan.
My cousin grew up in Reading with him, and my cousin swears that he beat him on the basketball court, but I just let him believe that. I don't believe it at all.
I met Bob a long time ago, man. I met Bob in the 8th grade.
Oh, wow. AAU?
So it was funny to actually come back around, and we end up going to the same university because we end up running into each other for the same AAU team, too, out of Pittsburgh. We all linked up and played together before getting here at UC. And Danny was actually touring with that team, too, Fortson. So got a chance to meet Danny before coming to UC as well. So getting here and getting back with those dudes, man, and actually having a chance to live with them my first year on campus was just like, it was crazy. couldn't ask for a better situation.
So, also Ruben Patterson?
Oh, the bull. You know what I mean? You couldn't stop him. Can't hold him. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those dudes, man. When Rube put his head down, he don't do something. You know
almost
what I
like
mean?
almost like Cumberland is.
Truly unstoppable force, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Nobody could do anything with him. He was sometimes a little out of control, with running the basketball floor, but he always got the job done. And he was a dude you didn't want to stand under the basket and have to box out and try to rebound against, man, because, again, although he didn't exude being physically, muscular, dude was strong as what? I got a couple years of it. Then I got I got Cleveland as well. We go back to Cleveland in our AAU days and, growing up around the same neighborhood, even as young teenagers, 13, 14, so me and Rube had a lot of history as well.
I know a lot of people talk about how kind of AAU is kind of out of control, whatever, but I think it's really cool that through AAU you guys all played together, and so when you came together on a team in college, it was like it wasn't new. You know what I mean? Like the chemistry's almost already there.
You knew the guy. You knew the guy. You knew what he was built for. You knew what he can do. It was just now, taking this relationship, to another level.
Yeah, exactly. So some of the other names, just to get through the last couple here. Kenyon Martin, we can't not mention him, obviously.
It was the first 5 games. I was ineligible my first 5. We had to sit and watch the first Midnight Madness, being on campus for the first year and, kind of going through the similar, thing and just trying to get him to understand that, once his time came and he got his opportunity, man, it was going to be the best thing that happened and try to, enjoy it as much as possible. And he took the reins, man. I think he had an opportunity to learn from Danny. Obviously playing against Art every day in practice. You got Bobby Brandon that's beating on you. Mm-hmm. So Ken had a lot of people around him, and then you had, the late Robin Rowe, who was around, again, big body guy. So, Ken had a lot of guys that he could take from and learn from. Even Jackson Jolson as well, man, as a shooter. Jackson was a big guy, man, that ended up stretching the floor, for us at certain points. And that's what, Kenyon was able to do towards his latter part of his, his senior year, is start to do those things. So I think, with him, man, he had a long line of guys, man, that, that was here at UC, man, that he learned from on that front line and ultimately became the man.
That's awesome.
Anybody that breaks their leg, man, and still wins the Naismith and clean sweeps every award, man, and still goes number 1 in the draft, man.
That was crazy.
There ain't nothing else to say.
Heartbreaking. Good Lord, I don't even want to get into that. So Steve Logan was also there.
Slow and go. Couldn't rush that kid, man. You know what I'm saying? That dude had a pace, man, that couldn't be bothered. You talk about, when teaching the game now, as a coach, I talk about change of pace. Logan had a pace that, again, couldn't be bothered. You know what I'm saying? He was just slow and methodical with it. You couldn't rush the dude, you know what I'm saying? He was real prolific with what he did as well, man. Logan was from Cleveland as well. Early years of rec center ball, Corey Rec versus Thurgood Marshall, so, again, as you mentioned before, man, it's kind of cool to have some relationships with guys, man, and know people, and once you got a chance to kind of, again, take that basketball thing to the next level, man.
Yeah.
Again, man, one of the top scorers, here in UC history, definitely made the most of his opportunity, here at UC as a point guard, man. And again, one of those guys, man, that got it done.
You also had Pete Michael?
Pete was a winner, man. Pete came in 72-game winning streak from junior college. It was ridiculous. That win streak was crazy. And then he won here. You know what I'm saying? Every time we went out, we competed, man. He came with this winning attitude, man. I knew the transition from Ruben would be tough. You know what I'm saying? Because obviously, I was playing with a guy that I had been playing with for a very long time on the wing. But when Pete came in and took that spot, Pete brought a different style, to the table. You know what I mean? He brought a different slashing ability, to get to the basket and get buckets, more so than Ruben. Ruben had the power game, and things like that. So it was a welcome addition, man. I enjoyed Pete, man. Pete was a fun guy. Like I said, and he wanted to win.
You also have Ryan Fletcher?
Fletch. Funny, man. Fletch is a good dude, man. I was roommates with Fletch on campus, and we still, talk, to this day. and Fletch hasn't changed, not one bit, man. He's always been, a funny guy, as far as, sarcasm and joking, but, he's always been a good dude, man. Always a guy you can talk to, about some other stuff. So I appreciate Fletch, man, because, again, we had some hard times as freshmen coming in here, you know what I'm saying, and as sophomores, and we had to deal with, being the young ones, and
Sure.
taking the brunt of what Huggins gave. So we threw a lot off of each other. Towards the latter part of our careers, we were able to experience the success, man, because I think of everything that we went through, together early. We had success late.
And then the last name I had that jumped out at me as I was looking over all the rosters, Donald Little.
Don was young, but ended up becoming a force, man.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Again, you talk about a guy, again, a frontline guy that, Kenyon had a chance to go up against every day. Don wasn't little. I mean, and that was his last name.
Yeah, right.
But he wasn't little. You know what I'm saying? Don was long. He was thick. They get in the weight room. He got bigger. Mm-hmm. He was athletic. He can block shots. He can move. So again, towards the latter part of his career, man, he was able to start experience success because he worked, to get to a certain level and a certain point. And, he was a good player for us, man. He chimed in early on some games for us to help us win, and then he had his shiny moments himself, man. So, that's one guy, man, that, was definitely important to what was going on. But if I can, kind of sum him up, Don was everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So
he was everywhere.
You've literally described a cornucopia of personalities. How in the holy hell did Huggins get you guys to mesh?
Man, it was us as a group of guys, man. There was one more guy, man. I gotta,
Yeah, go for
give
it.
respect, man, and pay homage to. But DeJuan Baker,
Oh, yeah.
was a real personal, close friend of mine, man. We shared a lot of good times, a lot of bad times. He was the hero, of our turning run. They ended, short. Ruben fingernail tip on the basketball, man, against West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Knocks that ball in, but Bake saved the day for us, man. A lot of days, man. A great shooter, great athlete. You know what I mean? A great person. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, he was a really good friend to me. We still in contact to this day. Obviously, time has passed and guys go on and do their own things and they grow into their own, they come into their own. But, personally, that was somebody, man, if I could hang my hat, on the relationship, I can hang it on him.
Well, when you tell him to listen to this, let him know that I was writing all these names down after midnight last night as I was putting this all together. He didn't mean to forget.
It's all good, man. I was definitely going to make sure. Like I said, I looked at the list. I saw the names on there, but I was going to make sure I got him.
Absolutely.
I got him in here with the rest of these guys because he was just as important, man, to my growth, and my success. He convinced me that why don't you just jump on your jump shot? Who's going to block your shot?
That's a good
And
point.
after I started to realize that, it was like a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, who's actually going to block my shot if I actually really started to jump when I shoot? That was from him. That was things that I was able to take from him as a shooter, learning how to prepare to shoot, how to run off screens. I had Burton, Darnell that I watched, but I played with Bake. So playing with him in practice and going against him, during practices, I got a chance to learn from him, man. So, much respect and, to my guy, man. If I had a word to sum up for him, man, that was my brother. If I had a brother on the Bearcat basketball team, it was him.
Like I said, I mean, how did Huggins get you guys to mesh? I mean, obviously we saw the general that he was on the court, but we all know that as he's coaching on the court, it's probably the smallest fraction of what he's actually doing with you guys.
We drove each other a lot, man. Huggins, we knew Hugs was obviously he was the general of what was going on. And, he would have his motivating ways and, he would get to you in certain ways to get you to play. But when it came down to it, man, we motivated each other, man, and we fed off of what each other was doing. You know what I mean? If one guy was getting it going, another guy wanted to get it going to kind of, help the situation go. And with that, man, you saw a lot of guys do a lot of special things.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because, again, we fed off each other's energy, and we loved playing with each other, man. I mean, sometimes it got rough, guys fought, argued, all those things, man. You had that stuff, man. But at the end of the day, there was mutual respect, for one another and one another's talent and what each other was trying to accomplish. Because we all knew what we were trying to accomplish the same thing. Some guys just, tried to go about it differently. We had to kind of, bring the guys in bring the reins in on that to get everybody on the same page. But other than that, man, it was us. It was self-motivating for us to go out there and want to beat your face in.
So did you go nose to nose with anybody that you want to share?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I never had that opportunity. Not that I sought it out,
Right.
or anything like that. I was, more of the Jackson Jolson type. Can we all just get along? Type of
Sit
dude,
back.
you know what I'm saying?
Why are these guys fighting
I didn't like
over
to see that stuff, man. I didn't like to see guys come to blows. I mean, if you're going to argue, arguing is cool. Guys do that. But, once guys get to swinging, man, it comes to blows and his teammates, that's something else, man. It gets a little bit deeper. And, you never really want to see that happen. So,
Right.
Melvin's sitting back going, hey, can you guys knock it off? Hug is going to make us run some more if you keep doing that.
Well, sometimes, man, Hugs was that guy that actually, sat back and just kind of let it happen.
Yep.
You know what I mean? He felt like something like that was needed at times, even though, you can say what you want about that, but
Yeah.
I just thought maybe, diffusing the situation a different way, man, was usually the course of action, because you never know if guys held on to things personally after that.
That's
you know what I'm saying? And you definitely didn't want that.
That's true.
If two guys got into a fight and, these guys are pivotal on our team, and next thing you know, they're still harboring personal feelings for each other. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
now somebody doesn't
how
make
good
that
is that
pass during a
relationship
game.
and chemistry on the court?
Yeah, exactly. The chemistry in the court.
Or for our locker room, period.
Right.
You know
Oh,
what
true.
I'm saying? No, I was going to say it was a divide, if that ever happens.
Right.
It's a complete divide in the locker room.
Any good coach knows how to approach you. You already made mention of this a little bit. Any good coach knows that he has to approach his players differently. Every player takes something a little bit different as far as motivation goes and what have you. What is your favorite personal moment with Coach Huggins? Like, I'm sure there's a moment where you felt like you really grew after a certain conversation or a certain whatever happened between the two of you.
We had a few. But Alcorn State, my junior year, the game with the big dunk, been challenged by him to a certain degree, and it was truth time, at that moment for me. It was time for me to put my cards on the table, as well as what I had not done to get prepared, for that part of the season. It was early still, and, DeJuan was really carrying us. I think DeJuan had like a 30-something point game average or something like that. But, I had thought, coming to that junior year, it was like, it was time to break out a little bit, and I didn't do the things necessary in the off season to warrant a breakout. And, the attitude kind of surfaced a little bit, and, Hugs read it and kind of brought me back to reality, as only he knows how. It was a personal challenge. It was a lot of yelling, a lot of screaming back and forth.
Not from Huggins, no.
But at that moment in that halftime it was that moment. It was truth. It was time.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And after that, it was blast off, man. I went out there and jumped to the moon on one of those dunks, man. I had 3 dunks in a row after that argument, and the last one was the biggest. And I let out a scream and a roar as I ran past him, just to let him know. You know what I'm saying? He got the last word. Because actually after that, he took me out of the game, and he said, if you do that shit next week against Xavier, they're going to be running it right back down your throat, dunking on your ass. Basically, that whole little celebration afterwards, when I twirled around on the rim and I spun off, and as I said, as I ran past him, I started screaming my head off and shit. He was kind of like, yeah, okay, do that next week. They got some guys over there that's going to be running it back down your throat, dunking on your ass, and they did. We went over to Xavier, man, that next week and got throttled. I had not been beat up so bad in a game physically before, ever. More so than that game. I mean, they cracked us by 20. It was a good night for me. I had like 19 points, 8 rebounds, but physically, man, I took a beating, man. I hit the floor a couple. I got in the locker room because I was not physically in great shape yet, as Hugs had alluded to a week prior at the Alcorn State game, and I remember trying to go and getting in the shower, man, and my body, everything just locked up, like cramps everywhere. I couldn't move. Like I had to stand in the shower with my uniform on. That's how brutal that game was, and it was hot in that arena that night too, man.
That was in the Gardens, right?
The Gardens, Cincinnati Gardens, man. That place was hot. You know what I'm saying? It got real heated, and they kept that press on, man, the whole game, man. They didn't let up. I think they were really sending a message not only to us as a crosstown rival, but they were sending a message, man, to NCAA basketball. Because that's the time, man, you know, Skip had those guys really going, man. You know, Lenny Brown, those guys, man,
Oh, yeah.
Lumpkin, you know what I'm saying, Posey, and, you know, you had Darnell Williams and Tavares. I think it was Tavares. Last name was Tavares. Julian Tavares, maybe. I think that was his name. They had some guys over there, man. That was some pretty good basketball players. But yeah, that was a rough one, man. But you know, again, that moment with Hugs, man, was probably again the favorite. Again, because that was probably the most challenging, you know, moment from a coach that I had ever experienced. You know, as far as you know, go out here and do what it is that I brought you here to this university to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's either that or be the most athletic cheerleader we ever had at the University of Cincinnati.
I just want to say it's so cool to actually hear the story from your perspective on that, as it's such an iconic moment from UC. I mean, any UC hype video they play, it has that clip in it. You know what I mean?
And there's a backstory to everything, man. Mm-hmm. And there's always a story to everything, and that again, that story there is probably one of the most famous ones, man. Because again, it was a moment, you know, I think that, you know, obviously I needed. It kick-started everything off for me, you know, going the rest of the way. That season had some really big games, you know, going forward. I locked into shooting extra, you know, afterwards, you know, with DeJuan and, you know, again, but, you know, as a coach and a player, man, that was it for me.
And I know you remember it because I think I met you back in 2013, I think, at UC versus Louisville. It was the game where SK scored his 2000th point. And I like the first thing I said to you was like, from the rafters. And you're like, yeah, it was that hoop right there. Like you knew exactly, like no question about it. No, it was that hoop right there.
You used to talk to those Rams, man. Me and those Rams had a special relationship. You know, I would console them on times that I ran up there and just dunked one really hard, you know, and I would talk to them when I needed a basket. When I'm sitting in there shooting late, talk to them. And, you know, you gotta become one with where you're at, man. And that arena, man, was an arena that brought out some things in me, man, that, you know, I don't think any other arena that I played with has ever have.
So, and I know that's real too, because I mean, you have to, like, you talk about like talking to the rims, but you're probably really were talking to the rims. Like as you're sitting there, you know, practicing shooting free throws or whatever, you're just like, come on, man, just come. You kind of find yourself in that mode where you're just talking to. I don't know how to explain it. It's just
it's a mind state, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for.
You try to get kids to understand what going on the court and being in a moment is about. And when you're working out, you're in a moment.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? You're working out, you're in your mind, you're in your own heart, you know, you're off venturing off, you know, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you're in whatever arena going against whatever person, you know, it just goes with it, man. It was just one of those things that, you know, a dunker, a person that experienced a lot of, you know, time around the rim, you know, it was just something cool that I figured, you know, I would partake in. You know, just as a little superstition. You know, everybody's got a superstition.
That's what I was looking for, superstition, yeah.
You know, as far as what they do before games and pregame rituals, you know. Well, one of mine was, again, talking to the basket. You know, hey, I need it early tonight. You know, be there for me. You know, I'll make sure I shoot soft. I won't dunk too hard tonight. You know, just little stuff, man. Again,
Hold
there's
me
just
up.
little things in your mind to make you feel comfortable about what you're getting ready to go out and do.
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure the Rims wasn't listening at all.
Now, you mentioned that conversation between you and Huggins happened at halftime of Alcorn State, but is that going to be your favorite locker room speech tirade with Huggins? Is that the one that means the most?
A lot of them. Right, man, we'll be on here all night. A lot of them you couldn't even talk about because they were so vulgar.
Sure.
I mean, we had so many moments with him, man, inside that locker room, man. Out the locker room was a place where he felt like, okay, now it's on.
No holds barred.
Now I got you. You're in front of me. You can't move. You can't go nowhere. You're forced to listen. And that's when the show was on.
Yep.
And you knew it was on when he was coming in the door and the jacket was coming off. He'll be coming in the locker room, jacket was coming off. And keep in mind, man, some of these tirades, man, I'm a freshman. I'm a sophomore.
18, 19, yeah.
Hey, man, I'm like, man, what is wrong with this dude? I'm looking at purple lips, man. People's lips turn a certain color, but that dude's lips would turn purple. He would get so angry. His face is so red, and man, he's screaming at you, and he's at the top of his lungs, man. And he's at that vein popping out in his neck, and he's hitting the board, and you sit there as a youngster, you're like, damn, like what's really gonna happen? But then you get to be a junior and senior, you're like, okay, just how far is he really gonna go with this time around? Because some of us have seen this Raft before, but you knew if he was getting to that point as a junior and senior, it's like, oh shit, because now you're in trouble because you're one of the focal points. You know what I'm saying? When you're young, you're not a focal point as much because you're not playing. So you can come in the locker room and you can enjoy the show. Just don't get caught laughing.
Yeah, I can't even imagine what that would be like.
Don't get caught smirking. Don't get caught snickering or anything like that. Junior and senior, you're part of this tirade. You know what I'm saying? So it's not a good feeling at all. But again, so many, man, that I can go from. But one that would probably stick out, man. And it was kind of funny to me. It was my sophomore year. We were in Orlando playing against Temple. Gregor is getting the bulk of the playing time at the two-guard position, switching on and off with Darnell. And we didn't have too good of a first half. I mean, I think we went into the first half up. But, Temple being Temple, the wars that we've had with them so many years, and I think Bob knew that we wasn't out of the woods. But he came into the locker room, man, and here we go, and he's taking the jacket off, and he slings the jacket down, he kicks the stool, and he starts asking coaches questions. And that was kind of like iconic in itself. Like, most of these coaches were even going to give answers to what he was asking. Like, John, why are we playing so soft? Like, Coach Lawyer was actually going to say, well, the reason why we're playing soft, Coach, is, you know what I'm saying? Coaches would never come back and say anything.
Right.
So he went down the line. Why are we so this? Why are we so that? I just don't understand. And he would go to the managers, and he would have the managers in even on what was going on before he actually blew up. And I remember him going after Keith Gregor because Keith was getting trapped on the sideline, a lot during the first half of that game. And he starts to imitate Keith a little bit, and he kind of gets down in a stance basketball, and he's ripping the ball triple threat position. He like, I just don't understand why we just can't grab the ball, get in the stance. And of course he's using explicatives that I don't want to put on the podcast. You know what I mean? But he's using the explicatives, and he's going off, and he's just ripping Keith apart. And I just don't understand it. We just catch the ball. Most guys catch the ball, and they're in the stance, and they're strong. They're whipping it around, man. They're ready to go. Their arms are up, and they're ready to do this. My guys catch the ball, and we stand on the damn sideline, and we're rear back, and we put our leg up in the air, and we just yell out, I'm effing scared. And at that moment, there was tournament personnel coming into the locker room. Okay, because it's the NCAA tournament. They're coming in to let you know how much time is on the clock. And these people just stopped in their tracks, and they you had to see the look. You had to be there and see the look on their faces, look on our faces. At this point now, it's like, oh, it's go time. I look at Flint. Flint looks at Damon. And everybody just starts laughing, man. I think everybody at that point was like, you know what? He can't run us all. You know what I mean? We got a second half to go out and play. I think if we all just laugh, let it go. Danny Forson is just cracking up. It was truly a Huggins moment, man. Again, if you can imagine this guy in a nice suit, nice tie, gold watch, with his leg cocked up in the air like he's getting ready to fall off a cliff. You know what I mean? And
next time I see you, I'm gonna make you reenact this.
His lungs. I mean, I think you can understand, man, how funny that could have been to us or anybody that probably could have
just
saw
walking
it.
in the door.
But he takes the marker after that, man. He throws the marker up against the board, and the top comes off with a Sharpie marker, and it hits John Lawyer like right in the forehead. And that was just it, man. That was it. We was like, okay, now at this point, let's go, man. We got to get back on the basketball court, man. We only got 6 minutes left to go back out and warm up before the game starts, man. But true, funny moment. Probably was not, the most vigorous and, fiercest Huggins tirade, but one I will remember because, again, it had everything in it.
Now, the last thing I want to ask you about your time at UC before we kind of get into some of the stuff that happened afterwards, we've gone over so many different moments. Has any of these been your favorite moment while playing at UC?
Well, again, we got a lot of those too, but probably, obviously my favorite moment, man, is that Duke moment, being over in winning that game. Because that, again, as I said, as a kid, or even as, a high schooler, teenager, whatever, you're in the gym, you're fantasizing about being the person that wins the game. You want that moment for yourself. You hope others can experience having that moment because, again, it's special. And, again, thinking about, the time spent, working on the craft, who it was against, obviously, their folklore, everything would do. It was a personal challenge for myself to go out and play as hard as I could play, not only for the team and to try to get this win, but, Trajan Langdon was supposedly the number 1-2 guard in the nation at that time, and I thought I was pretty good. So it was a personal challenge for me to go out and try to beat him, and we ended up getting it all that night, man. So that was truly probably the best,
awesome night.
Best basketball moment. Threes and record breaking and all that stuff, man, and conference championships. All that stuff was great, but that monumental moment you always look for in your college career, and I would have to say that was, a lot of people would say that would probably be it for me.
After your time at UC, you got to hear your name called in the NBA draft in the second round by Detroit. What was that like?
Special. I mean, you want that notoriety. You want that moment. You want people to hear your name. Again, it's just one of those times, man, where, on the biggest stage possibly that could be at, that this happens for you. Again, it was a lifelong journey, not a lifelong journey because I'm still going through life, but it was at that moment a lifelong journey because I started out early, playing and having these visions of being a superstar and wanting to be a professional, athlete, whether if it was football or basketball. To have that happen, to solidify that and to say yes, that happened, and I have that under my belt. Nobody can ever take that away. That's one of those things, man. It's sometimes undescribable, hard to sometimes put into words. Surreal, so to speak, I guess, if that's the best way that could be put.
Now, it didn't work out with Detroit, and then you got traded to L.A. So between your time being drafted by Detroit and then your time in L.A., what was going on at that point in time?
Spending time, obviously in Detroit was a learning process. That was a business transaction. Come to find out how everything went down. They were in search of a point guard with the draft pick. Joe Dumars, obviously, and as a lot of other people relate to at that time, and even at this time of the draft now, you take the best available people, that late in the draft. And, I was one of them, per se, not the position that they were looking for, but yet I was the best available athlete at that moment still left. So that's why, that move was made. But, coming to find out again that they were wanting a point guard, time spent there, I took it as a business transaction and got a chance to learn, what it was really about. It wasn't about my talent. It wasn't about me not being able to do this. It was not the right fit for them. And that's what a lot of people don't understand as well when it comes to, viewing sports. They only see sometimes the end result, oh, he didn't make it, or, oh, they did this. Well, why they did this is truly important.
Right.
And some people, fail to really understand that. But again, it was a trade made with L.A. for Derek Harper, 4-point guard, who played with the Dallas Mavericks for a long time, had a long career with the Mavericks, Roy Tarpley, things like that, when those guys were really, really good down there in Dallas, who ended up actually not even reporting. He didn't report to Detroit for the trade. So it was kind of like, once I got to L.A., it was like, wow, the guy didn't even show up and this and that. I mean, I possibly could have stayed there, get an opportunity to get traded to the Lakers, man. That
Showtime.
That don't happen. You know what I'm saying? I mean, first of all, you get drafted 6 picks from the last, and then you go to an organization like the Pistons, who has had their championship run with the bad boys through the 90s, so they're reputable.
Right.
People know them. I mean, it's the 90s, they're making their turnaround. But guys are in camp like Grant Hill. You know, there's a young Grant Hill there. There's young Jerry Stackhouse there. You know, so I'm in the soup, so to speak. You know, with some really good guys, man. And then send me out to L.A. and there's Shaq, there's Kobe, Lord have mercy. That was the super team.
Yeah.
You know, you talk about a super team, 4 super teams, and you can go back to the early Celtics, man. The Celtics were a super team.
Yeah.
Bird, McHale, Parrish. Those guys that was a super team there if you want to start looking at what guys are doing nowadays. And it was no different with L.A. That year, L.A. put together a super team, bringing in Ron Harper, who eventually, you know, was the reason why I was let go. Rick Fox, Glenn Rice, John Sally, Derek Fisher.
Yeah.
The list went on, man. And then, again, you talk about having guys at every position, multiple guys at each position. I mean, that team was stacked, you know, and I was that close, man. I was really close to achieving that, you know, and having that, you know. But going through what, you know, I went through with the Lakers and seeing what that side of things were about, man. And, you know, again, the NBA, you know, is a business.
Right.
You know, at the end of the day. And Phil, well, I should say Bust, Mr. Bust, Jerry Bust, you know, Mr. Bust, they bought a championship that year.
Right.
You know what I mean? Brought in a bunch of $1 million exceptions. Phil put the triangle back together. He had guys in there that he could trust, that didn't have to be taught the triangle much, and he went with what he had. And, you know, at the end of the day, as a coach, you look at it, because I try to do it now. I try to help out who I know. I try to give people an opportunity that I coached before a chance to coach. So looking what he did with Ron Harper in my situation, well, I'm going to go with a guy that I know that's proven, that won 3 championships with me with the Bulls, more so than a rookie that I may have to teach this to, who could be very good, you know, after a while, but we got to win now.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
99, they had to win. You know, there was no way that they were not going to win that title with Phil coming in as the first year coach and having Shaq and Kobe. It was go time for the Lakers. And they did what they had to do. You know, at the end of the day, you know, again, looking back at it, you know, it was hurtful not to be a part of it.
Right.
You know, I was very lucky and blessed to be that close, though. Not too many people, man, get a chance to be that close to those type of people. I mean, you talk about a real class organization, man, getting a chance to be around people like that, again, just don't happen, you know, every day. So having that moment in time in my life, you know, was truly special. They treated me special. You know, they didn't treat me like a second-round pick. You know, they treated me like I was a Laker. You know what I'm saying? That meant a lot. And there was respect to Shaq and Kobe and those guys because they didn't have to do that.
Oh, yeah,
you know what I mean?
sure.
These guys were, you know, millionaires, you know, and they're well into their superstardom. And they don't have to take the time to even say a word to you. But those guys had conversations with me. You know, Kobe would tell me things that Phil liked that I did, you know, and some of the workouts and stuff like that, and to keep pushing and all that stuff, you know. I mean, I'll take that stuff, man, and that'll be in my trophy case for the rest of my life, man. I'll never get rid of that.
And that's stuff that you already said that you're carrying on already. You know, you're carrying on into your, you know, high school coaching career and you know, doing with these young players. I mean, the stuff that Kobe and Shaq did for you, you're doing for these kids, which is awesome.
Try it, man. Pretty much just trying to give it what people, you know, as far as what they gave to me.
Exactly.
Give that opportunity back, man, and try to not lead a kid in the wrong direction. Give them the best of me when I'm out there coaching. Sometimes they may think I'm mean or something like that, or I yell too much, but that's just the passionate energy and coach trying to will them, you know, to be the best, you know, little person, you know, that they can be. That's what I got. You know, that's what I got. I didn't get anything else. You know, if I got taught a different way, different teachings, then maybe my style of coaching would be different. But I didn't have that. You know, all my coaches coming up through my time, man, were men, disciplinarians. They were family men. They were hard workers. They were disciplinarians. You know, and they didn't let too much slide. You know, and I can be happy with that, man, because I was able to go from high school, have 2 coaches at high school that gave that to me, and come to, you know, the college level, you know, one of the most important levels, you know, for growth and becoming a man. You know, I had it at this level.
One of the things we were talking about before you called in is the underdevelopment of the D League back then versus where the G League is now. It's night and day.
Yeah.
We were both talking about, because of how underdeveloped the D League was back then, we just both feel like you would have had just a better shot at success if things were in place as they are now. And it's just kind of unfortunate that you just came really at the wrong time.
Well, man, and I know a lot of guys, say the same thing about when we were playing. You know what I mean? Had they came along when we were playing, it'd be different for them too.
Yeah.
You can look at that, and say, yeah, things would have been different. Advertisement obviously would have been different. Marketing for myself would have been differently. I'd have been able to get my name out there more and things like that. But, the opportunities, I think, man, although I truly felt some places I went, I was just there, you know what I'm saying, to be there. Mm-hmm. I had a shot, man. I look back on it, you know what I mean, I had an opportunity. Like I said, most people don't get a chance to get in front of some of the things that I was in front of. I had a chance to see the world almost with this game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I look back on it. I didn't make millions of dollars, man, like some of the other guys did, or I didn't become better than, I know I could have been better than some of the guys that end up playing. That didn't happen as well, but how it all panned out for me, I think it was it was meant that way for it to go that route. The hardships, having to go from league to league. I look back on it like, why was I different? Kurt Warner had to bag groceries,
right?
Before he became Super Bowl champion. John Starks, sold cars and worked in a supermarket. Coming up through the CBA. So if God had that plan laid out for me that way, man, I had to follow it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I couldn't question that, and I learned after a while, not to question any of it, because again, it was all a plan, and if it was supposed to be that I went right on, to the NBA and became this mega star, it would have transpired like that. I think my path was laid the way it was laid because it needed me to learn some more things about myself, to understand some more things about myself, getting ready to transition into another part of my life, which was obviously teaching and coaching.
Well, even before that, you did get to come home, or at least back here anyway, not necessarily home, as Cleveland, I would assume, is still home. But you came back here and played for the Cincinnati Stuff. You ended up getting to play for the Harlem Globetrotters. And even after that, you got to go to Canada and play in the CBA. You played semi-pro with the Florida Sea Dragons and then the Kentucky Pro Cats. And even after that, you got to, you've mentioned a couple times you got to see the world. You ended up over in Hungary playing. What the hell was all that like? I mean, you got to see the Harlem Globetrotters, for God's sake.
Yeah, that was, that basketball, man, that's, over 100 years of tradition, man. That Harlem Globetrotters, go without saying, man. That's just one of those things. To be a part of something like that, again, you put that up there with some of the highest ranking moments for basketball, for myself, man, because having an opportunity to be with those guys and tour and, learn about, how far the Globetrotters have come and, just the entertainment part of it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
The kids are there awesome. Just for you.
Well, yeah, because I consider myself to be an entertainer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there was no better place for me to go at that time to kind of entertain and showcase, other than, go get with the Globetrotters and, be their dunker for, a few tours and, go from there. But, again, having a chance, man, to play in those different leagues, man, it was just the grind. A lot of guys have to get out there on the grind. And for me, it was the grind. A lot of those places, paid little or nothing,
mm-hmm.
But it was the opportunity to get out there and chase the dream, you know what I'm saying? So, and again, like I said, some guys' path is laid a little bit easier. I can be happy with how things turned out, again, because I got a chance to see a lot, got a chance to do a lot. It's just unfortunate some of the little mishaps had to happen that, derailed, certain things, because who knows what could have took place. I mean, obviously, I probably wouldn't even be talking to you guys right now.
Yeah.
So again, things happen for a reason. You know what I'm saying? It happened for a reason for me to do this podcast tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Let's
look at it that way.
Well, right, things do happen for a reason. The way we started talking to you is you randomly called in one night, and we're like, wait a minute, hold on.
Yep. So you got out of basketball playing anyway, and you've transitioned into coaching. From everything that I know, from what I've been reading up on, you started at Coleraine, then you ended up at Winton Woods. You're also simultaneously doing the Bearcat Jam. So what's going on with everything that basically what's going through your head now as you're transitioning into being a coach?
Shout out to everybody else though that came before that, man. We got a lot of people out there before that, man. I got to give them their just due too. You know, the Talawanda Braves up in Oxford, man. You know, they were very good to me.
Okay.
You know, those kids, man. When I got up there, and all the parents, man, would tell me, God, you have no idea what you're doing for my son, and
that's awesome.
You have no idea what you're doing for us. And I would tell those people, you have no idea what you're doing for me right now, because, you know, coming off that stint, you know, where I felt like I should have been and could have been, and then finally getting injured and having the surgery, and now I know that the wheels have definitely going to start turning in a different direction. You know, again, I had to let them know what they were doing for me, you know, as far as picking me up, you know, and lifting my spirits and giving me an outlet to still, you know, be around the game and enjoy having fun with, you know, with the game.
Exactly.
You know, those kids gave me a lot, man. They gave me their all, and I'm happy for the time that was spent at the 8th grade level, because, again, that was my first crack at coaching.
Sure.
You know, and from there, you know, the wheels just start going from there, man, and ended up at Miami University, Middletown, junior college for several years. Learned a lot from good man Bob Nocton, who was high school coach at Middletown for a long time. Yeah. Then from there, get an opportunity to kind of, you know, do my own thing over at Miami University, Hamilton for a couple years. You know, short stint there, you know, as a junior college coach, learning the ropes at the college level. And then getting to the high school level with girls, you know, went over to Middletown High School, went over to Aiken. And then, you know, the boys started calling. You know, and getting that opportunity, man, to finally get that high school opportunity at a Division I school, you know, here locally in Cincinnati, I felt like that's what all those years were for.
Mm-hmm, sure.
You know, all those years in between, you know, doing AAU in the summer with my own program, you know, while coaching at these other places, I felt like that was the, you know, that opportunity for me to, you know, have that dream job, man, and, you know, try to turn things around. But people get hired and people get fired, man. People bring in their own folks. They always figure somebody can do it better. You know, kind of what happened to our staff. You know, we were hired by one outgoing athletic director, and the incoming athletic director got rid of us a season later.
Yeah, you see it all the time in sports. Yeah, so
yeah, it happens, man. I mean, and again, I was, you know, obviously a little bit bitter.
Oh, sure.
About it, but it happens. You know what I mean? It happens to the best, and happens at the highest level.
Right.
You know, not just where I was. So,
yeah.
I mean, I became a part of, you know, what they call the politics end of things.
Right.
When people talk about that being a part of a lot of stuff, you know, I got a chance to see, you know, what that was about. But, you know, picked myself up, man, and, you know, when Woods, you know, was there for me, you know, they came calling, and, you know, feel like I've been at home ever since.
Who's a great team as well. I mean, I remember, you know, we went to Northwest, and I remember guys coming out of Winton Woods like Robert Height and guys like that. I mean, just powerhouses.
Got a real good history here, man. A lot of good talent that has came out of here, man. These kids are going to school, you know, after they're done, you know, their senior year. You know, we got a lot of college coaches coming through our building, so, you know, I'm happy to be at a place where, you know, I feel wanted. You know, they made me feel wanted by extending so many different opportunities for me to coach. Tennis coach for the boys and girls. To be able to do that along with basketball, a sport that, you know, they know me for.
Right.
Just go to show that, you know, they're willing to give me an opportunity in some other entities, and, you know, they trust that, you know, I'll make right decisions, and, you know, I'm good for what they brought me in for.
Speaking of other entities, you started up the Bearcat Jam last year. So
man, and that's been really exciting, man, to kind of, you know, put that together, you know, for alumni. You know, one thing about putting it together was to try to, you know, reconnect people, man.
Sure.
You know, like I said, guys.
Well, if you could explain a little bit about what that is for anybody who's listening that doesn't quite understand.
Well, the Bearcat Jam is a
TBT
basketball team. TBT stands for the basketball tournament. Mm-hmm. It's been in existence now, I think, maybe 5-6 years now.
Seems about right,
we just participated again in our inaugural season last year. And again, it was about, you know, trying to reconnect guys, man. We had a pretty good tradition of basketball here at the university, and seeing some of these universities come together, you know, it was kind of like, you know, hey, it'd be kind of cool to, you know, see if we could put some guys back together and, you know, maybe go out and compete and all that stuff. It came together pretty coolly, man. Once the fire got lit on it, it really burned.
It started rolling.
Came out, accepted the offers. I think guys took their time on accepting offers, but we didn't get turned down by anybody per se.
Sure.
Guys were on the fence about it, I think, but came late that they wanted an opportunity to play, but we didn't have a roster spot for them left, so I encouraged those guys once we start getting in touch with them this year to take the roster spot early, and if you can't do nothing late, we'll fill it.
Yeah.
But no, we didn't get turned down by anybody, which was good. And again, it was just good to see guys, man, come back together, and represent the C, the way they used to during whatever time they were here playing. We got a chance to put all that together, and, we have fun. Again, it was our inaugural season, chance to learn a lot about the TBT and how it worked and, what it takes to win a championship in that thing. So, this year I'm really excited to, start working on it and putting some new pieces to the puzzle together and trying to make this thing happen. We're going to make it bigger this year, obviously than last year, as we try to each year coming up. As long as TBT is going on, we're going to look to have a Bearcat Jam team. But again, it's exciting, man, to represent the university in this way and kind of be on the platform that we've been on, nationally, with what we've been doing.
Yeah, because that was on ESPN, and there was lots of guys there. Dan Daychick,
Clark Kellogg.
There's a lot of guys there.
It was a nice little thing, man. You guys were there too.
Yeah. We were. Courtside.
Right next to Clark. I didn't want to. He had a coffee right next to me. I didn't want to knock it over or anything. I was so nervous.
Yeah, that was cool, man. So we're gearing up, man. Gearing up for another run. Again, I hope people really now, as they got a chance to see it last year and understand what it's about. Hopefully, we can get the word out a little bit more before school gets out here.
Yeah.
Soon for the kids and get them understanding what we're doing. And so when it comes time, if they can make the event, come on up.
You gonna play this year?
I got 3 months
to make that decision.
Got 3 months.
Okay.
Starting March 1st. Yep. Got 3 months.
Last year, to get in, it was like a voting process online. I know they've changed the rules a little bit this year. What do we have to do this year to support and to get the Bearcat Jam in?
This year, they got some things. One thing is called like TBT Rex, and what they're doing is they're going off of, your popularity for your team. So they're wanting everybody to do videos, drop little things on Instagram using certain hashtags and stuff like that, about the team that you want to see. It's pretty much, again, going to be one of those things where, again, they want to see just how, popular you are. They're saying they're changing it from a popularity contest, to really now wanting to see a different criteria, for guys getting into the tournament. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, looking at, what's entailed as far as this TBT Rex, again, it's, pretty much getting online, man, pumping the social media, putting out things about the team. They're going to monitor the posts, things like that to see who's gathering the most support, and they want to be impressed. They want people to be more creative and all that stuff, and how they're displaying Bearcat Jam and their support for Bearcat Jam.
Gonna have to give away merch and give away signed merch for likes and retweets and all that stuff.
We got to start kicking it up that way to get things out, but we'll make sure we take care of whoever we come in contact with.
Yeah.
And as we always have been. Obviously, again, you can still sign up still for the support of the team and things like that, but what they're looking for our end of things, they want 7 players from the school at least.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This
Good.
is everybody now across the board, like every TBT team.
Good.
They want 7 players from the school. Now they were looking for that, not what we were looking for last year, the social media booster.
Yeah.
They want this person, again, if you are saying you're connected to certain people, because obviously teams have been saying they're connected to this person, they're connected to this person and that person. Well, what they want to do is they want to see it now.
Are you talking about like OSU with Evan Turner and all that?
So if you're connected to some big wig, some superstar, they want to see it now.
Okay.
You know what I mean? They want to see it by having them put out a hashtag.
Okay.
You know, to the tournament.
Sure.
Basically about the team, and then basically using again the TBT Rex hashtags.
And something
You gotta
else.
have the active Twitter handle, the Instagram. You gotta have the Facebook. They want the one tweet from school, Instagram from school, Facebook support from school. Then a new thing was an article by a school's beat writer.
Okay.
So, you know, a lot of different things that they are taking into consideration, past performances in the tournament, social media support by the head coach. You know, if we can get Mick to maybe finally, you know, do what Jay Wright did for Villanova, you know, that'd be kind of cool. A school fan blog group or something like that to support. But then there was another thing about acquiring a booster, like a sponsor.
Oh.
There's different ways that we can, like, acquire a sponsor now and be able to be sponsored by a group here through Cincinnati, where last year, you know, we were trying to do Coke, and Coke did a good job of, you know, getting us the Powerade and all that stuff, but we wanted to go all out with Coke and have the banners and all that stuff, but TBT kind of didn't want that to interfere with some of the other drink sponsors that were giving things for free.
Gotcha.
So this year, we're able to kind of do whatever it is that we got, you know.
Way to change the rules, Mel.
What about like a rivalry? Because I know that I saw, you know, after the Bearcat Jam had their run, and then I think it was right after David West announced his retirement, all of a sudden there was a bunch of Xavier fans on Twitter trying to start a TBT tournament. So what kind of, like, you know, maybe Xavier UC kind of
why not?
rivalry? Yeah, exactly.
Well, why not? What's wrong with that?
I
don't see anything wrong with that. That would make this thing even more fun.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That'd make it
for fans. It'll make it more fun for people involved. I mean, and then for the TBT.
That's exactly.
Come on. I mean, you got two local teams in the same city, known for trying to beat each other face in a crosstown rivalry. Now you got this in the summertime. Now you got a possible matchup.
Yep.
In the tournament in the summertime.
Now you got
But overall, you got this popularity contest going on in the same city for the same tournament. And the TBT is going to eat that up because it's not going to be nothing but advertisement for them.
Steal the game away from Columbus.
Yeah.
Two major universities of our stature, man. You know, again, doing something of this magnitude with the players that we have involved now. They're not going to have any slouches. Just like we don't have any slouches.
Exactly.
So they're going to be noteworthy, name-worthy as well. So I welcome it. I had said something to Brad Redford about it when I did his podcast, you know, several months back. You know, why not put something like that together?
Yeah.
You know, I even encouraged him to try to be the guy to do it because I knew he would probably be able to pull guys together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He knows a lot of those guys, and he's respected by a lot of them. But I know guys would, you know, probably step up. But then you say David West, who else other than that to possibly do something like that where I know they would get players?
I think it was just some fans tweeting David West asking him if he would play if they got a team together. I don't think David ever responded.
I'm not sure if he'll play, but you know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure he'll be probably willing to put some guys together, man.
Oh, sure.
But again, what a fun thing that would be, man, and what hype and amongst fans that would create here in the city. That'd be great.
It'd be awesome.
While we got you here, anything else you want to say about the 20th anniversary? I know you've been selling some merch at Ladder 19 a couple weeks ago, and I think you got another event coming up.
Yeah, just have some different things going on, man. Just trying to have some fun with this thing, man. Like I said, I can't believe that, you know, it's been 20 years, since being down there, man. But, you know, just trying to have some fun with it through the social media, with the pictures and the videos and stuff like that. I've been finding some really cool high school stuff, man, that kind of bugged me out because I'm looking at my high school pictures and my UC pictures, and I've got the same poses. You know, I'm in the same basketball stance. I'm sitting on the bench the same way.
You still watch a game
wigging me out
the
right
same
now, man. Like going through all this stuff, but you know, again, just trying to have a little fun with it, man. Nothing really, you know, specially planned. You know, if I'm really going to do something, I'll do something at 25, you know, or something like that. But you know, again, just trying to, you know, get as many little pieces of artwork out there as possible. If I can put something on the T-shirt that, you know, somebody really remembered, you know, to commemorate, you know, the 20th year. That's what we've been trying to do that. So,
Whoever
looking
made
forward,
that-
man, to the rest of the basketball season, man. We got a couple things coming up. We got something going on March 2nd on campus. Beat the Bearcat, the layup, free throw, and three-point shot thing. It's coming up here in a couple weeks, so, it'd be a good time to kind of, toss out some Bearcat Jam stuff and, get the face back out there again, get on the big screen, and maybe dunk one.
There you go.
I stood with you at the last home game, and you still have the same stance. It hasn't changed, especially as the game gets more interesting.
Sometimes some things are hard to break, man. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know, man. I'm locked in a lot of times, man. So if I had seemed to be a little bit non-talkative, it was because I was centered.
No, you're good, man. No apologies.
See what was going on, but at the same time, I enjoyed the time, man. Enjoyed, obviously hanging out with you for the first half and all that stuff.
Yeah,
so,
I appreciated it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Right, man.
So, anything else you want to talk about or plug before we let you go here for the night?
Nah, man, I just, again, man, keep people on the lookout, for, Melvin Levett basketball. We got the training going on and things like that. Putting together summer teams for the youth. We have the Melvin Levett, gear as well that, that's putting on for the city logos and Jumpman logo as well. We got the Bearcat Jam logo stuff that's out here that's getting ready to get pushed. A lot of new things are coming out for this spring, with our apparel. We got some hats and stuff coming, man, and just going to just try to keep this thing pushing, man, now that I see that there's still a little following, out there social media-wise, and obviously still coming in contact with kids through, what I do with coaching, reintroducing myself. I figure I can just go ahead and get this stuff up, and, if people like it, man, I'll keep doing it.
Well, if there's anything we can do to give you some airtime on our podcast or anything with anything that you wanted to put out there, even if it's just a quick spot, let us know, and we'll do anything we can to help you out.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Shout out to you guys, man, for what you guys do, man. You know what I'm saying? Ever since I met you guys, man, you guys have kind of, been A1, as far as, letting me get some things in, obviously, social media-wise and, tweets and all that good stuff, man. So I appreciate the support, man, and, whatever I can do, man, for you guys on another perspective, as far as doing some other stuff, different podcasts about some other stuff, I definitely got a little knowledge, about the game and about some things that be going on. So if you got a spot for some other stuff one night, man, you want to, have a call in or something, I'd love to do something like that.
We appreciate that.
All right, well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Melvin Levett. Again, be sure to check out Cincinnati Bearcat Jam. Be sure to check out everything he's got out there tweeting out with anything in regards to the Bearcat Jam. And if you got a little kid out there who's trying to learn about some basketball, he's doing some of those lessons out there too. So, again, thank you for your time.
Pardon the punctuation, man. You guys, man, appreciate you, all the listeners, man. These guys are good guys, man. I've experienced nothing but good things, man. But again, I appreciate everything. Appreciate y'all time, man. Thanks for having me. It was cool to get the story out there, man, for those that, don't know Melvin Levett or was, curious about some things, that took place during a time that, they were wondering about.
Absolutely. We appreciate you. The stories were great, and so we appreciate it.
It's all good, man. Anytime, man.